Hi, this is Priority Station, and today we bring you day 348 with, as always, Olexiy Arestovich, former advisor to the office of the President of Ukraine, and Mark Feygin, Russian opposition politician. Enjoy. Dear friends, glad to see you all on Feigin Live. It is Tuesday, February 6th. Mark, it is Monday. Oh, sorry, I got a madhouse. Yes, we do have Monday still, 6th of February, 10 p.m. in Kiev, 11 in Moscow. I don't know if it's a special stream or not, but it doesn't matter. I'm glad that Olexiy is with us. Good evening, Olexiy. It is day 348 for today. We'll just name it a daily stream. And then, as planned, on a Saturday this week, we'll have a weekly digest of everything. We have about 100,000 already watching us live, 20,000 click the like button. This is an unplanned stream, and many people may not be aware that it is happening. So please share that, let your friends know so they can either join that or watch that later. And of course, click the like button. That helps us to get recommended by YouTube more often. And subscribe to Feigin Live, to Olexiy Arestovich, and to Privateer Station if you are listening or watching that in English. All right, let's discuss what extraordinary happened that we jumped online. So there are two big news that I didn't want to walk past, and they may be a little tired by Saturday. So first of them was the vote in Ukraine parliament to recognize private mercenary corps Wagner as the terrorist organization. And this is an important step because we cannot really push our allies and friends to recognize Wagner as the same as a terrorist org without ourselves doing it. And this will bring with itself very severe, perhaps not quick, but severe consequences. First of all, because terrorist organizations have big issues surviving in this modern world. To simplify it, they're outlaws for the civilized proceeds, and a lot of things can be done to them that would never be applicable to normal citizens or even just criminal organizations. So it basically opens a path to professionally prosecute them and get to them for everything they're doing in Ukraine. I'm surprised that it's Ukraine that is bringing up this initiative because they've been doing atrocities in Syria and in Africa for quite a while now. And I'm glad we started that process. It'll take some time. There are some people interested in the international community to push that further, to make sure that they do suffer everywhere. And not only them, but also their agents in other countries, Central African Republic, Mali, Angola, Syria, and many intermediaries who are involved in their logistics, who are involved in recruiting, who are involved in procurement for them, and that every member of the terrorist organization would also experience that. That's important. And the process started. This is very important. I could not wait for Saturday to speak about that. That's important. And the second topic, close to me, is sanctions against Russian atom, Russian nuclear. European Parliament voted to refuse Russian uranium, which is a very strong hit for Russian industry, because specialists are saying that it's over $100 billion that they make every year, which is not oil and gas, of course, but this is a significant amount. And also, if we look at the list of possible stations that Russia was constructing or would be constructing that could be affected now, it's Hungary, Turkey, and many other contracts that could be now disrupted, and from our point of view should be made problematic, because Russian nuclear and Russian investments should not be coming to other countries if Russia is using nuclear weapons and nuclear industry as blackmail, and just the general topic of nuclear security, going to their statements and going to conducting military operations in Chernobyl zone, in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. And this will affect a lot of corporations in Russian Federation. So this will have network effects on this industry within Putin's Russia, and to stifle them and do not let them continue expanding and growing their influence in the world. This is a proper step in the current situation. We attempted to do that in spring, didn't work out. Second attempt did work. And they're forbidding uranium to be used from Russia to be used on the nuclear power plants in Europe. And this is a very not monopolistic, but very limited market. It's basically French, Americans, and Russians who run most of it. And if Russia will lose it, that'll be a significant blow, because behind any high-tech market there is a lot of influence that is connected to that. So the contracts with Russia are to be frozen. Investment of Russian nuclear in the Western countries should be reviewed and controlled. Russian nuclear should be expelled out of all the international agreements, as well as research projects, thermonuclear and fusion and others. And replace Russian nuclear as a partner in the already existing projects, the ones that they have built or where they worked with Europe. So this is an important step. This is about diminishing Putin's political influence in the world, and also cutting his sources of income, because otherwise they are trying to get to Turkey, to India, and to many other countries. This was an important highlight of the news that I didn't want to walk by until Saturday. And this shows tectonic movements in different industries. So Wagner, how long were they stirring trouble in Libya, in Africa, in Syria? Over 5 years, right? And what? It took a big continental war and Prigozhin's jumps on the social ladder in order to finally bring them into the focal point of anti-terrorist fight. It'll be still somewhat of a way to get there, but at least we started. And Russian nuclear is one of the critical industries of Russia. So this is important to try to put a pause on that as well. And Yermak-Makfol Commission also can implement their sanctions related to Russian nuclear. Bloomberg, I think, also published today. I'm trying to remember who did. I think it was Bloomberg. That the 10th package of sanctions that was planned for the 24th, for the one-year anniversary of that beginning of this war, it's targeting to close a lot of loopholes that Russia and their partners and agents figured out how to avoid current bans. And they're still getting some microchips, for example, the ones that they're using in their missile industry. So we understand that they still have 4 sales companies that are selling them to Russia, and essentially it gives them an option to build calibers and other missiles. So this commission works to shut these holes, and so they cannot continue getting these supplies and continue building up their military assets. And the basis for the gray schemes, a lot of the ones that we already are aware of, will be shut down by the 10th package. All right. This will be very important. And about Russian nuclear, we heard about the attempts to prevent these measures. Hungary was very active. Not Hungary, Mark, Orban. Yeah, of course. We do separate public opinion of Hungarian people and their leadership, but still. And they've been rather sharp in resisting that. In your opinion, a lot of questions are being slow-walked because of that resistance, including the necessity to plug the holes in the current sanction mechanism. This is the so-called due to people like Orban. He's connected in a corruption way with Putin's regime, so unless this problem with Hungarian leadership will be resolved, then we'll have to continue figuring out other packages to plug the holes from the earlier ones. Because there are some insurgents, the ones who disagree, who are trying to hinder the effort of allies in limiting Russia's outreach. So do you think there is a pathway to increase pressure on, let's say, Hungary in this case, to make them a weaker element? Let's bring it up. In Hungary, in Belsh, there was a $11 billion construction, which was signed into being in 2014 during the annexation of Crimea. The country of European Union signed a contract with Russia at the events during the events of Crimea, and then Turkey also signed something. They are doing their own specific game, and it caused a lot of irritation with NATO partners, which for the most part was being vocalized by United States. Orban is personally interested in this construction, and the sanctions, the way they are written, they're basically saying that, okay, if you already have something under construction, go ahead and finish it, but they're not getting future ones. So there is a positive giveaway to possible countries so they don't lose their investments and the money and do not lose their energy security. But on the other hand, there is a long-term goal to push Russia out of servicing these stations and out of providing fuel for these stations. So after being built, it will be removed from the control of Russian side. And this will be a very positive news and a good addition to the list of arguments for those who are saying, well, wait, we already invested money, but also for the ones that's letting Russian nuclear into that system is not exactly a good idea. And regarding the ability to circumvent veto, Europe already showed that they can do that on 2 occasions. It's about the Russian oil products, because that was the main bread and butter of Hungary. They were processing Russian oil into gasoline and other products. And remember, there was another story when Hungary was being hung dry for the money they were expecting from Europe for taking a non-constructive position. So they found a way to stimulate Hungary to stay on the bandwagon with the group, and I think they'll continue. It's a complex situation. We cannot expect it to be solved tomorrow by direct pressure or something, but I think they'll be able to realize that. Also, today Japan joined the ceiling of oil prices. Before that, they've been getting better priced oil like India and China. Not for oil, but oil products for them before. And basically, Indian and Chinese refineries will be processing Russian oil that is being sold them at a discount to avoid shutting down the pumps. And basically, it means that China will continue and India will continue getting proceeds from this oil refinery, and Russia will continue incurring losses because it's difficult to shut down oil sites. You may never restart them again. So not to do that, they'll continue pumping, but all the benefits and profits will be reaped by third countries. So the new ceiling is 45 and not more than 100 for the products of refineries. And I think after the next motions or actions of Medvedev or Putin on the front or in the media space, they might review that price again. It reminds of an old torture in medieval times when they would tie a wet leather rope around the convicted neck, and while it was drying, it'll eventually suffocate them. So, Ministry of Finance of Russian Federation said their budget is in deficit, and they started selling gold. For now, not for too big of an amount, but they started. And we understand that these sanctions, it took them, 10 months to get here. And these sanctions, they're working slowly. People were laughing in Russia about them and those bold statements early on that nothing works. The effect works. It just takes a while to manifest. And as long as Russia will continue pushing this aggressive policy, they will be stifled on the economic front. And the economic front is not less important than military, the actual hot front. Because if there is no money to feed the war, then the war stifles and stagnates, and they don't have enough resources to solve the tasks they have. Meanwhile, on the front, General Command of Ukraine said the main direction of attack is Kupiansk, Liman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Vuhledar directions, so mostly east. And look at how they announced the attack. They said that there'll be a rapid, sudden offensive. No, it's more of a creeping offensive. In the next 10 days, we might see intensification of their actions. Right now, they're building at 90 kilometers away from the front logistics bases with ammo, equipment, operating bases. Why 90 kilometers? So that HIMARS would not reach them. But there is a nuance. In the new package, we have new missiles that can go for 160 kilometers, and all of a sudden we'll be able to reach their logistics. So I don't know about 10 days. I know that there'll not be a second offensive near Kiev. And here's another sign for you. Do you see Western embassies evacuating from Kiev? As far as I know, no. Exactly. They're still here, and that means that's another sign that there is nothing for Russia to... Russia doesn't have resources to attack Kiev. They can shell, they can send missiles, they can send a couple battalion tactical groups along the border to skirmish a little with our border guards, but it'll end really badly for them in the north because we have reinforced our positions there. And there is nothing similar to what happened in spring going to happen, so Ukrainians should not worry about that. But on Donbass and Zaporozhye, yes, they will continue pressing. Near Bakhmut, near Kupiansk, they will continue. So their main attempt is to cut off Siversk, that protrusion that we still take in the north, and also to surround Bakhmut. Today, Russia was claiming that our troops were going into some offensive maneuvers near Bakhmut, Konstantinovka Road, near Klishevka. And according to their publics, we have harmed them in a couple places and have been pretty effective, so they had to withdraw. Many people are asking, why are we still holding Bakhmut? Why do not we withdraw? A simple answer is, this is, according to the stats, this is an ideal, again, if we take out all the possible deaths of our warriors, this is a machine on grinding down the Russian troops. They're incurring tremendous losses in that area. So, in my point of view, if we have these 2 points, or in this case 1 point near Bakhmut, that attracts so much effort of the enemy and grinds down their potential, this is a very good story. This is a difficult situation for our foes, where they have to waste a lot of troops, disproportionately colossal losses, versus what we suffer. And that definitely diminishes their capability to achieve more results in other locations. That is, we can draw an analogy here with Donetsk airport, which did hold for 242 days and was solving a serious task for us, for our front there, and the difference in losses was 1 to 15 in our favor there. And Russia is using paratroopers, is using Wagners, using fresh motorized brigades that they refitted. The inmates, so everything that they've created is a potential of storm infantry, and this is, again, I'll reiterate, the greatest value on the battlefield, more important than HIMARS or artillery. These are the ones that are being grinded down there. So when Putin sends orders about taking new cities, they'll have to find this storm infantry. And when you lose them, when you waste them in futile attacks on the fortified regions, this is a really difficult proposition for Russia to continue the effective offensive. So Solidar and Bakhmut are 2 spots where Russia is seriously being weakened right now. And once again, I would remind our viewers that defense is a maneuver, is a military tactic to help waste the attacking enemy's resources. It is more effective for defending side and more costly for the attacking side. Meantime, we have already 9,000 subscribed to our storm brigades. This is about 3 brigades worth of 9,000. And very soon, I think we'll see them training. And at some point in short term, we'll see them on the front and we'll see how we can push back. So this is again to counter Russian propaganda that everybody in Ukraine are running away from conscription. No, here it is. In just a few days, we got 9,000 volunteers. This is a serious result throughout the country. They wanted to pump the topic that nobody wants to serve in Ukraine military. Everybody is running, and look, these brigades are getting staffed pretty rapidly by volunteers in a very significant amount. We continue seeing our civilians dying, and I will make a point of mentioning that every stream. Among others, they shelled Korokhovka, Avdiivka, Krasnogorovka, Druzhba. 1 civilian dead, 1 wounded. This is daytime info. I haven't seen the fresh updates since midday. Ukrainian aviation continues to work. We hit them in 9 locations. In Novaya Kakhovka, we shelled dozens of armor and destroyed dozens of occupants. That's near Kherson. I am usually rather skeptical when you voice certain news, and because it sounds like scary things. But there was another piece of news that, again, in Novaya Kakhovka, there were several reports coming out that Russian troops retreating or moving, they finished off some heavily wounded of their own. I don't know, it's difficult to confirm that without actual data, but I do have a lot of input. I do not quite believe these statements fully, but since I'm getting it from different, rather verified sources, it should be voiced at least. Have you seen another video where Wagner troops supposedly killed their commander with axes? Yeah, that's another one that I don't quite believe from the get-go, but this is a bloody war with a very weird enemy that I cannot totally exclude that eventuality. What else? We also announced in the open that France will supply 2 radars to air defense radars for SOMPT that will go together with that Italian system. That should be in Ukraine in a week. And this is a capacity to fend off ballistic missiles, ballistic targets, and these radars actually are the important steps, important parts of that system that will inform the targeting system. So this is the result of our Ministry of Defense visit to France, where they signed this agreement. And your favorite topic, Ukraine nationalized 2 billion hryvnias of assets of Russian oligarch, and the Office of General Prosecutor confirmed that. In essence, it was the mining and processing facility. Transport means buildings and other assets in the area. Several days before the beginning of war, it was re-registered to a citizen of Ukraine. The price of this factory was dropped by 3,000% to do that. And according to the picture that I can see, that's about Sholkov, and it is an interesting precedent of actually countering the gray schemes when they were rewriting that onto their relatives and friends, and their usual saying, what was it? 1 step away is unprovable, 2 step away is not even traceable. Well, no, we actually started that story with a new case. So, yeah, I hope we'll stop a lot more of these gray schemes that they were trying to use to evade repercussions. 400,000 are watching us. 234,000 are watching us. Over 78,000 clicked the like button. Today was an unplanned stream, so I understand there are fewer of you. But I still want to say that those viewers who are watching us live, you can help the others watch this by clicking the like button. Mark, I think we are getting a little soft here. After 600,000 that we had, 230,000 seems not too much for us. Well, yeah, you've disturbed the sleep of the whole nations, right? Here's a direct proof. I do not have a goal to evade the streams. My goal is to do informationally rich streams, effective streams. So I repeated before and I'll say it again, if there is information for 3 streams a day, I will be doing 3 streams a day if Mark can. I do not have a goal to skip them or to not do them. I just don't like talking about things when there's not too much news. So watch our news announcements, and that's why Mark is telling you to subscribe, because YouTube would push you these updates if you are subscribed. This is the benefit of why Mark is pushing. Please do not forget to click the subscribe button so that you do get the announcement of our new releases. Anyway, Mark, you're tracking our streams. We have a ton of post-live views, right? Nothing changed there. Yeah, no, they actually grew a little. I think we don't have anything lower than 1.8 million views for each stream. So, Mark, let's do this. By 2 p.m. at 3:15 p.m. there are no news, basically. That's all the news for the day are defined, and by about 2 p.m. every day it is known, is it worth to do the stream or not. So usually no later than 3 p.m. I would be letting you know if we are not doing the stream. We do not have a goal of doing fewer streams. I just do want to be contextually interesting, and the moment when there are things like Russian nuclear happen or Wagner, these are good events that need to be addressed. So, by the way, Olexiy, there was another continuation today. You probably saw that he recorded the video stream for Zelensky today and made it public that he was flying supposedly on the battle aviation, and during that he recorded the video and he is talking, appealing to Zelensky to discuss something with him. So if Prigozhin wants this dialogue so much, I understand the president will not talk to him because he needs to become a president to get that attention. But I would suggest his service can reach out to Telegram, Feigin Live, and he can come to our streams and we'll talk to him. Why not? If he is so bent on talking to anybody from the faces who can, albeit in unofficial capacity, represent Ukraine, I don't think he can find better streams than Feigin and Arestovich. So that's why I'm sending a message to Evgeny Viktorovich and his service people to reach out and try to set up a conversation. Plus, Evgeny Viktorovich, you're a Jew, I'm a Jew, so it may be to your benefit to know me, because there'll be a time when I'll be judicially prosecuting you for all the crimes you've done. He's being really active. He's writing to everybody, including, I'm laughing, even lottery probably. He's got a press service, Concord, and they keep sending messages everywhere. Pentagon, White House, letters about announcements, about prohibiting certain things. His activity in the background of what's happening with private mercenaries of Wagner, and you are saying their activity is diminishing, right? Oh yeah. So it seems like his structure is being depleted, is being wasted, and in the context of everything we addressed and that pressure, we probably cannot even forecast who will kill him first. His own troops or his internal rivals or enemies on the front. Well, you're a specialist in the criminal side of things, right, in prosecuting. You can definitely see the criminal style of behavior here. When you're too close to being asked for what you've done, they jump into being very active, into screaming and accusing others, just to distract the attention from themselves. This is the only strategy left, by attacking others, so that they would not have time to attack you. But this is the one-way ticket road. All these flights on the jet, like Putin did in the beginning of his career, and all these loud announcements outside of protocol or rank, they do not bring anything but repugnance from and rejection from the topper of Russian leadership and bureaucrats, because he is circumventing a lot of traditional lifts and pathways. He is trying to jump over their heads. So we understand. He's at least found some resistance in headbutting with Strelkov, and there are some not for the live streams sayings that he's as bold as beep. This is the story. Anyway, so I think this is the road. It's a one-way road. Of course, it is an interesting one because there's a ton of postmodern technologies being used for self-PR in the media. But the fact that Wagner's organization is now a pathway in one direction along the dark corridor that ends with a wall. There are a couple of reasons for their demise. They failed Putin's expectations and hopes. He also violated all the rules of the set up bureaucratic and military systems in Russia. And military tower of Kremlin also doesn't like Wagner, because they even switched to personal attacks. And then the last is, what is the potential for recruitment? Inmates, they're running out of them. You cannot take those who don't want to go. And Ministry of Defense gave them right. So, and Ministry of Defense now, by the way, were given additional way to get into Wagner's troops because they can hire the ones who have a cancelled criminal record, expunged criminal record, so they're stepping into Wagner's turf. Yeah, Mark, and it's a question for those who are going to the army or to Wagner who wants to go to war. Those people who are smarter, they realize that in military they can at least, there is some semblance of rights. If they refuse to do something, if they talk back to a commander, they likely will be brought to a court-martial or to some, official proceedings. While in Wagner, if they refuse to do something, they'll probably be just taken out of line and summarily executed right there at the spot. So they realize that. And Wagner was trying to hold his Wagner Corps were trying to hold their professional people in logistics side on the training to prepare other new recruits. So they had those who've been working there professionally. They've been on the second or third lines training or giving some assistance. And right now, I think they've been explained that you guys will not have enough inmates to send to the front, so you will have to scramble those from the second and third lines, and the ones who thought they'll be comfortably sitting in the back and not attacking and not participating. Also, after the story with Nuzhin, when they killed him with sledgehammers on air, that really pushed a lot of inmates to reconsider their participation. And they're running out of their resource. And these hired guns, the ones that are core mercenaries of this Wagner private troops, they're still there, but the ones who were drafted from prisons and others, they were wasted rather rapidly, and they're running out of that supply now. So this organization is now going one way without the chance to return. I think they started that way a few years ago when they killed another person in Syria with the hammers, sledgehammers, and then sawed him in parts on air. And now they're just at the end of their journey. And Kremlin would not even need them, because if they are understood, indeed adopted as the international terrorist organization, then Putin doesn't need them much, because they cannot achieve his goals anywhere. And what you do with the hand that doesn't bring you gold and eggs anymore, yeah, it goes in the soup. And the fact that they managed to quarrel with military during the war and that they cannot achieve the goals as effectively as they wanted to show, so they can be screaming as much as they can, recording as much as they can, but I think the leadership already understands where it goes as the result of everything. Here's an important question I wanted to bring up, Olexiy. There were a lot of people talking about American private company Mozart. I don't know if that's the real thing, and I think somebody was laughing that maybe they named it to counter Wagner, saying, hey, these are Wagners and these are Mozart. And we don't know who's behind that effort, maybe American Ukrainians of some kind. But I wanted to address it from the view of a bigger scale. Private mercenary companies, the way they're being designed. I think this idea was explained by Milton Friedman, the Nobel laureate in economy, how and why the war can be privatized. But I think it's a valid system, right? What is a private company? It was born on the West, Mark. First of all, monopoly for violence is being disrupted a bit. The foundations of the West was that government had the monopoly on violence, actually all over the world. But on the West, it found some fertile ground, that private core idea, because government is tied so much with all kinds of laws, and the application of standing army is difficult. It's a difficult proposition because army is effective in actual battle combat, in combat activities, but not so effective in safeguarding or holding the territories and all. It's just too expensive and difficult. Army cannot be made as just light infantry. It has to be more universal. So a military's unit, a fighter in military is getting, I don't know, $5,000 or $3,000, but in general, the detachment of 2,000 of these fighters costs a ton more than that, than just 3 multiplied by 2,000. And in private companies, it's different. Each individual fighter costs more, let's say 15,000, but the detachment overall is much cheaper. And this created a situation when private companies can hire very professional guns at a higher rate, 3 times, 5 times higher than military pay rate. But overall, it ends up costing less for the organizing party than a similar detachment in the military. And they can do a lot of security services and other things. Plus, they can be used in gray areas of high political risk, where it would be too costly for countries to fight themselves and their official military. And that's what was going with countries like Syria, where countries were sending some private corps to fight. And just like that Russian Wagner guys who went way beyond the norms, and they actually killed a citizen of Syria on video, killed him with hammers, and as I mentioned, cut him with chainsaws. These people are known, and these people are living in Russia now. And Putin, his government, is doing nothing against them. So finally, I think the world got to that step that, hey, this dog is going too mad, and they're doing a bit more than is standard, so they're violating too many norms. And I think Wagner is now facing that corridor that is getting narrower, narrower, and narrower. And one needs to understand that private mercenary corps do differ. Western corps very standardized. It's a different animal. And Russian Wagner is basically a company that's not even trying to hide what they're doing. They're worse than SS troops in Germany of the Second World War, who were trying to hide the atrocities that they were doing. But these guys don't care. They actually shoot videos and bring it up. And I think the measures are being taken. And that reminds me of that medieval execution thing when they did that leather string over the convicted neck. And eventually it would dry and suffocate them. So that's what's happening with Wagner. And I think the main reason is that they're not liked in Putin's upper circles. Military and special services do not like them. All right, we have a couple more minutes for 2 more messages. We need to address Mikhail Saakashvili, right? Yes. First of all, we need to mention Turkey, where there was a horrible earthquake, and I think there was a second one, and they're already talking about 1,500 plus dead. And our condolences to our brothers and sisters from Turkey. And it's not only Turks, it's also Syria, I understand, and some other neighbors in the region. So condolences to those who are suffering, to dead and wounded. And, of course, the last one about Mikhail Saakashvili. Very few people know. Today, the court in Tbilisi refused a petition to let him get his health treated by a third party outside the prison system. I think he's in Biomed or something now, but they refused to transfer him from there to anywhere, or to let him go to a third place. And it all goes in a direction that their leading party, their ruling party, the Dream, Mechta, is demonstrating complete ignore to that topic. And we are doing on the 20th of February an active resistance action in the cities around the world, and not to Georgian embassies, but to come out to the government establishments wherever it is legal and proper, and it should be done at noon. It should be started at noon where you live, in Washington, in Rome, in London, in Paris, in Kiev. So at noon, come to where you can, to the government establishments and parliaments, where you don't need special permissions. You can just form individual protests or a small group. And the places where you cannot, that's okay. You can come to the embassies in the places where there's no centers of official power of your country. But right now, it is important to continue the pressure. It is not Georgian leadership is not the target this time. Now our target is Washington, President Biden, his leadership, and leadership of France, President Macron, or Parliament over there. And the current president of Georgia, Zurabishvili, is ex-citizen of France, by the way. They saying in the past, but I suspect she may still be active. Of course, Britain, Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister of Britain, so that Olaf Scholz would have a chance or would be persuaded to bring up this question in a conversation, if it happens, with Zurabishvili, or maybe make a phone call to her and explain her where the resistance would lead them to. I would not call that resistance, Mark. I would call that murder. Yes, indeed, it is basically that, because their arrogant manner that they're using to answer all these requests from that same Ukrainian leadership on this basically a humanitarian appeal, and also dropping the ideas of including territorial sovereignty of Georgia as a third party to Ukraine and Russia contract of territorial integrity, and also their intent to join European Union as if nothing is going on, where actually one of the points is the liberation of Mikhail Saakashvili. It does not work like that, guys, right? Yeah, they're kind of disconnecting from reality, sadly, bitterly. It seems that people have lost their connection with reality. It seems like they're going mad and hitting the wall. Guys, it doesn't work like that. You need to let Mikhail go in order to start addressing the goals that you've publicly declared. And now I basically reaffirm on the stream that Georgia is being puppeteered from Moscow, and this, I think, is the way to abyss. It's strange that public opinion does not fully recognize that in Georgia. There are people who are still on the fence. But on the 20th, we'll have a chance to address that. And that's my last speech. We gave our estimates. We gave our qualifications to the process, right? All right, Mark, so let's continue. If there'll be interesting news tomorrow, we'll come live tomorrow. Will you have no issues with the late hour? Because I know you guys still have elements of martial law. No, I'm loved. I think I'll be okay. And okay, we do hope that they figure out something for Olexiy so he can get to the place where he can stream for us from. I'll try to not violate our laws, Mark, and it's okay. I'll find a way to do it. Okay, one last time, please continue subscribing if you haven't done that yet. Click the like button and make your friends and those who need to see that aware that we are trying to shed light on things unfolding. How many people are watching now? A little lower, but at about 250 mark. Even despite that sudden stream, 250,000 is good. And I think 1.5 million will be there in stats by the evening, 24 hours later. All right, glad to see you all, and see you later. Goodbye.